moving forward, building the country, protecting our communities, empowering Canadians.
Negotiate more with the opposition.
Prime Minister, can you talk a little bit about your reaction to the budget and also the fact that you have agreed with Elizabeth May in regards to meeting the Paris climate targets? At the same time, you want to sign an MOU with Alberta in regards to the pipeline. How are you going to square that?
Well, first off, let me just say that very pleased that we passed the budget vote. There are more votes, of course, to come through the budget process, but an important step for our country. Protecting our communities, protecting our borders, protecting our way of life, building our country, building locally, building new trade infrastructure, building as an energy superpower, goes to your question. And Canada is blessed. We're blessed with immense natural resources, everything from hydroelectricity through to conventional oil and gas. We're part of an energy transition. We're going to help to lead it. That means Alberta, that means Quebec, that means Ontario, that means all of Canada, it means all forms of energy. And then last and most importantly, this is about empowering Canadians. It's about helping all Canadians get ahead. As I say, protecting our way of life, protecting our transfers to Canadian, getting affordability back established through a tax cut, as well as our essential social programs, everything from the National Food Program through to health care, child care, pharmacare, dental care. All of that is in the budget. I salute the 170 members of the House who supported it. I'm glad it came through, and we're going to continue to work on implementing it. Oui, en français, oui, il y a une responsabilité pour tous les députés, y compris le Bloc. Alors, dans le budget, c'est le plus grand investissement dans la culture francophone, québécoise et canadienne. Et le Bloc, il compte ça. Il y a le plus grand investissement dans l'électricité propre au Québec dans l'histoire du Canada. Et le Bloc, il compte ça. Les transferts à l'échelle fédérale au Québec de 29 milliards de dollars dans le budget. Et le Bloc, il compte ça. C'est une responsabilité. On a une responsabilité dans la Chambre des communes de voter pour l'avenir du Québec, l'avenir du Canada. Merci beaucoup.
MacKinnon, are you concerned that you only got Ms. May to vote with you yesterday, that the opposition parties abstained to get the budget passed?
We're in a minority parliament. We'll continue working. The winners yesterday were Canadians, and we're obviously very busy.
But surely this is not a comfortable place to be. You had to get abstentions to get your budget through.
I have very good advice for everyone. If you want to be comfortable, don't enter federal politics.
Mr. MacKinnon, yesterday Don Davies said that the NDP had tried to do some negotiations, get some concessions from you, and you weren't willing to do any of them. Mm-hmm. What were those conversations like? Why weren't you willing to give anything up?
Look, we're always talking to the opposition parties about their hopes, their ambitions, their plans, and we'll happily entertain any of them.
Can you explain the confidence vote that is happening today? What is it about, and why is it a confidence vote?
It's a Ways and Means motion, basically giving the government permission to table a budget implementation act, which will be done very shortly.
Est-ce que je peux juste vous entendre sur M. Scheer et M. Reid hier qui ont dit que leur vote n'a pas fonctionné puis finalement se sont présentés en personne? Est-ce qu'il y avait une stratégie, là, un plan B de leur part pour s'assurer?
Faudra leur poser cette question-là. Non.
One of the things that the NDP had called for before was for you to sign the rest of the pharmacare deals with the rest of the provinces. Why wasn't that in the budget?
Well, pharmacare is something that we're committed to. You can speak to the Minister of Health about how those discussions are going with the provinces.
Is it a sustainable strategy to count on abstentions in the future? I mean, I'm sure it was very, very close yesterday. Can you really do that in the future all the time?
We're just going to keep working away and putting things in front of Canadians that we believe are in the best long-term interests of the countries, and we'll hope to attract support for those things in Parliament.
Do you think this Parliament's sustainable after the vote yesterday?
Sure, I think all parties are going to have to come with a spirit of constructivity and willingness to work on solutions. The country's at a very, very important period in its history. We believe that the budget is a response to the challenges that we face on a number of fronts. and opposition parties are going to have to continue to approach these issues with the same level of seriousness that the government is.
Did you know there were going to be abstentions? People weren't going to show up in advance of the budget, or the vote, I should say.
What I know and what I don't know is kind of irrelevant at this point. You saw what happened.
Are you going to do anything differently? Because basically, our government today by the skin of your teeth.
Yep.
Are you going to do anything differently?
Well, I don't know what you can do differently other than present plans, show them to the Canadian people, have ministers discuss those plans as transparently as possible, and have active discussions with all of the opposition parties as to how they see our plans should improve, and we'll consider those things on an ongoing basis.
Well, you can make a minority parliament work by working with
I think the minority parliament's working. We just passed the budget. Thank you.
No lawn signs.
I know. Well, my husband's very happy. Yeah. And then my my son, who's the backup plan, said thank God because he's busy working right now, in the trades. So he doesn't want to do the signs either.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do the signs. I think it's something to take seriously. I mean, we're in a minority government. I've obviously heard the stories from previous politicians who have lost government without any notice. So I don't think we should take any of this for granted, for sure.
And so, do you think your party needs to do anything different so that you're not just getting by?
Well, I think any government, listen, I was in a minority government before, and I think any government that's in a minority needs to work collaboratively with the opposition to the degree that it's possible. But there are fundamental differences of opinion, as I think you see in the House every single day. We believe that a child care program is an important economic pillar to make sure that we have full productivity in the workforce. The Conservatives, as they pointed out yesterday, disagree. We believe a school food program is actually a huge asset to families, whether you're low income or not, because having healthy foods in schools helps create healthy brains. Conservatives do not. Jamil Javani yesterday had a terrible clip on his Twitter or whatever, putting down, the school food program and saying that ultimately it should be parents' responsibilities to feed their children, and I think he's living in some alternate universe because
United States, don't the Canadians need some predictability and stability in the way the country's going?
I think that's what we're giving them. I think that budget gives them predictability and stability. I think it gives them a direction. I think it gives them investments and the kinds of things that actually grow our economy. Listen, tradespeople are super excited because they see themselves in this budget. Parents are super excited because they see themselves in this budget. We committed to continuing things like dental care. So many constituents come up to me randomly in my riding. It's always just such a point of joy for me because they talk about how they haven't had dental care in 20 years, and for the first time in 20 years they've been able to take care of their teeth. And these are people that are low income, small business, elderly people who have just not had coverage through their benefits or not had benefits in their workplace. So I think whether we're talking about social programs or economic programs, investments in the country, Canadians did not want to go to an election. That much was clear. Thank you very much.
Si on est F-35 et Griffins, une décision va-t-elle être rendue? On en est où dans le processus?
Bon, le Premier ministre et le cabinet étudient toujours la question. Aujourd'hui, on va avoir certainement des bonnes conversations et pour les prochains jours, on va avoir l'occasion de rencontrer aussi les représentants de SAB. Et on continue aussi à avoir des conversations avec les représentants de Lockheed Martin. Ce que j'ai dit concernant les F-35, c'est que les bénéfices industriels ne sont pas assez grands. On va en faire beaucoup plus. On s'attend beaucoup plus. Et on va donc continuer à pousser pour que nos entreprises canadiennes puissent avoir non seulement une partie de ces contrats-là, mais aussi puissent créer.
Une des chiffres qu'on entend parler, c'est qu'avec SAB, il y aurait peut-être le fait que peut-être ça aiderait avec l'Ukraine qui voudrait passer une commande. On a entendu ça, qu'il y a une espèce d'adéquation, peut-être que l'Ukraine achèterait des avions, mais on a vu qu'il y a eu une entente entre l'Ukraine pour acheter des Rafales. Puis je me demandais si ça venait peut-être rendre moins intéressant le contrat avec SAB. les promesses faites par Saab.
Non, l'Ukraine, le président Zelensky est allé chez Saab et a dit qu'il y a 100 nouveaux avions qu'il voulait acheter de la part de l'Ukraine, donc 100 Gripen. Il a également passé une commande pour les Rafales. Donc, l'Ukraine est en guerre, on le sait, et a besoin énormément d'avions. Et donc, il y a 2 commandes qui ont été envoyées. Donc,
une ne nuit pas à l'autre.
Ben, le but, c'est que l'Ukraine puisse avoir une flotte mixte, ce qui démontre d'ailleurs que même en temps de guerre, une flotte mixte, c'est possible.
Minister, you respond to the fact that Saab is offering 10,000 jobs if you go with the Gripen, but at the same time, Lockheed Martin says thousands of jobs could be lost if we don't go with the F-35. How are you balancing that?
Well, what I've said is I don't believe that we've had enough jobs created and industrial benefits done out of the F-35 contract. I think it's not enough. I think Canadians expect more, and we should get more. So that's my first point. And second, when it comes to the Gripen, of course, we're really interested in seeing what can be done because there was an unsolicited bid that came up. 10,000 jobs is indeed a very interesting offer. So we have to look at what our military capabilities need, and at the same time, what are the number of jobs created across the country. I know that Canadians want us to build more in Canada, build with Canadian jobs, and that's what I'm pushing for.
Qu'est-ce que les Suédois sont capables de...
Ben moi, ce que je pense, c'est que le chef du Parti québécois veut donner le Québec à Donald Trump, le lancer dans les bras de Donald Trump, parce qu'il veut faire en sorte que le Québec soit beaucoup plus affaibli face à une Amérique qui est en train d'avoir énormément de pouvoir et qui veut faire sa propre loi à travers le monde. Alors, ça m'inquiète énormément que le PQ veuille créer ce rapprochement-là.
Comment est-ce qu'il s'interprète ce rapprochement-là, selon vous?
Ben, parce que son objectif est double. Il veut faire en sorte de créer un plus grand rapprochement entre le Québec et les États-Unis au niveau de ses relations internationales. Premier point, à un moment même où la souveraineté canadienne de façon générale est mise à mal par les États-Unis. Donc, il n'y a pas nécessairement de façon de pouvoir bien négocier. Il négocie dans une position de faiblesse. Première chose. Deuxième chose, ce qu'il veut faire au niveau de la monnaie, c'est qu'il veut réduire le pouvoir d'achat des Québécois. Parce qu'on sait que n'importe quelle monnaie est en fonction nécessairement de la taille de l'économie. Et la taille de l'économie québécoise, bien qu'importante, elle est somme toute beaucoup plus petite que celle du Canada.
Quel est votre message, monsieur?
Ben, moi, je pense que nous, notre objectif, c'est de renforcer le Québec. De faire en sorte que le Québec ait davantage de pouvoir, meilleure économie, qu'on puisse bâtir l'économie québécoise. Et comme ministre de l'Industrie, c'est mon objectif. Et donc, nous, on pense que le Québec est beaucoup plus fort dans un Canada uni et on pense que c'est dans l'intérêt des Québécois de façon générale.
Sur le contrat des F-35, quand est-ce que vous allez prendre une décision? Là?
Ben, vous venez de me poser la question.
Ça va être quand exactement? Dans quelques semaines?
Anglo-American to redomicile to Canada.
Well, what I've said is that what Anglo-Tech was offering was not enough. And I think that Canadians should get more out of this merger of equals. And the process is continuing. I'll make sure that Canadians get enough.
Do you have a timeline in mind for that decision? On the Gripens, is that tied to the F-35 review, the prospect of making Saab, making them in Canada?
Well, we're looking at both at the same time. What I've just said is we believe that we didn't get enough when it comes to the F-35s. The industrial benefits are not enough. There needs to be more jobs created out of the F-35 contract. That's clear to me and clear to this government. And at the same time, we think that we can use military procurement to get more. And that is why we're looking indeed at the Gripen, and we're having conversations with Saab. So I'm having conversations with Saab, which is offering at this point 10,000 jobs. We'll see how that is concrete, and at the same time, we're looking at what Lockheed Martin can do more.
Do you have a timeline in mind for Anglo-American Tech, for that review?
Well, the review is continuing on Anglo-Tech. My department is looking at it. We're having many conversations with both companies, and we'll let we'll make sure that the process continues.
But for how long? Like, what do you have an outer limit? Do you want this decision made by a certain time?
Well, the goal is to make sure that we take the decision next month. And meanwhile, what we want to do is, and I've said it many times in my vision for Canada's industries, we want to create national champions. We want more homegrown companies in Canada. We want to have bigger headquarters. When you look at where we were in the 90s, we had more very major international Canadian companies. And when you look at where we are now, we have Maple Leaf Foods, we have Thomson Reuters, we have CA, Bombardier, Lululemon, Aritzia, Telus. You know, we have big companies. But in this world that is more complicated, in order for us to increase our influence, to create more jobs, increase our soft power, we need to have more national champions. And that's what I want to do with our new industrial policy. That's what I want to do also through our new defense industrial strategy. And that is why that's certainly something I have in mind when looking at Anglo-Tech. Thank you.
That's Carney's new commitment to 2030, meeting the Paris targets.
And the Kunming-Montreal biodiversity agreement. Yes, I think that's great.
Are you going to return to COP30 negotiations in person?
No. The meeting is almost over. We still have a vote today, which is why Minister Dubuisson and I had to come back. We have another confidence vote today. So,
what can we expect from the nature plan?
How can Canada lead on climate and nature if you're not part of these critical negotiations?
I mean, it's not the first time that, I'm no longer the minister negotiating on climate change. I'm obviously responsible for nature, which is why I was there last week. In the past, I wasn't able to go to COP16 in Colombia for reasons that had to keep me here in the House of Commons. I was in daily discussions with the head of the Canadian delegation. I was talking to ministers when I was there, so fortunately it would be better to be there, but circumstances made it impossible.
What can we expect from the nature plan?
When can we expect?
What can we expect from it, and when can we expect it?
What can we expect? Well, I mean, the plan will show how we can meet our 30 by 30 goals as stated in the Montreal biodiversity framework. There are other targets, or 23 targets in the framework, so the strategy will outline how we can meet many of those. I mean, we still have some time ahead of us, but obviously protecting at least 30% of our lands and waters is one of the most important targets in there. So that's what you.
And when will it be announced?
Prime Minister said in the coming weeks. I think he said yesterday.
Est-ce que c'est réellement possible pour le Canada de respecter ses engagements dans le cadre de l'accord de Paris sur le climat à l'heure actuelle?
On sait qu'on a toujours su que ça allait être difficile d'atteindre nos objectifs. Ce qu'on a vu dans le budget, donc avec la stratégie climatique, c'est qu'on veut renforcer la tarification industrielle, on veut aller de l'avant avec le règlement pour réduire les émissions de méthane dans le secteur du pétrole et du gaz d'au moins 75%. C'est le règlement le plus ambitieux sur la planète et nous sommes le 4e producteur de pétrole et de gaz. Donc, quand nous faisons ça, tous nos partenaires nous regardent en disant « Wow, c'est vraiment… » Donc, toute l'architecture de notre plan de lutte au changement climatique est encore là. La norme sur les carburants propres, le règlement sur l'électricité, tout ça est encore là. Donc, c'est pas facile, mais il faut continuer. Et ce que je dirais, c'est qu'évidemment, les objectifs sont très importants, mais si on atteignait juste 35 ou 36%, si on arrivait juste à 35 ou 36%, c'est plus d'un tiers de réduction d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre par rapport à 2005. Nous n'avons jamais réussi à réduire les émissions au Canada alors que l'économie augmentait, et là, c'est ce que nous sommes en train de faire. Donc, il faut continuer d'aller de l'avant. Merci beaucoup.
Just the same as we would do for any constituent or person that is seeking. No, just making sure that they've got access to the same supports as any other person.
Why should a soccer player, though, get to jump the queue of thousands of people that have been waiting for citizenship forever?
Certainly, that wasn't the case.
How was it not the case? Then what happened?
He got his oath like right before the game. So
that doesn't imply what you mentioned. Just making sure that they have access to IRCC officials. The Secretary of State for Sport doesn't have access to that. So, thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Minister MacKinnon, are we in the clear when it comes to confidence votes?
No, there's going to be one a day for a long time. I'm exaggerating, but
How come all of your MPs weren't in person? Where's
Christmas Freeland these days? Why were all of your MPs in their seats yesterday?
You have to ask them about that.
Est-ce que c'est sécuritaire, là, le vote cet après-midi? Est-ce que ça va passer?
J'ai bon espoir.
Mais outre l'espoir, est-ce que vous avez la confirmation que ça va voter comme
Monsieur
hier?
Proulx, je me lève à tous les jours alimenté par l'espoir seulement.
Are you going to change anything in the way that you're negotiating with other parties so it's not so down to the wire like that?
I'll be reflecting on that, sure.
Est-ce que hier, ça s'est passé comme vous pensiez?
J'étais un peu... je n'imaginais pas le pays plongé en élection dans le temps de Noël. No.
In English, how do you think it goes today?
Well, I think everyone got a pretty clear message from Canadians that they weren't interested in voting on Boxing Day.
Did the NDP and the Conservatives get anything in return from you for these 4 abstentions yesterday?
Look, we have a budget. The budget passed, and the budget is as was presented on November 4th.
So nothing?
The budget is as presented on November 4th.
Did you think Andrew Scheer had technical difficulties with voting electronically?
You'd have to ask Mr. Scheer that. Yeah.
Given the fact that this only passed by really abstentions, like how long can a parliament last if the government can only survive confidence votes by abstaining from opposition parties?
Those are better questions for the opposition. You know, we're going to come to the House every day with proposals, with bills, with budgets, with various measures that we believe have the support of Canadians, and we hope that opposition parties will continue to dialogue constructively with us about how we can potentially make those things better, but mostly so that we can make Parliament work. I think if Canadians have sent any message in the last few days and weeks, it's that they want this Parliament to work, and so we're going to continue, for our part, doing our best to make that so.
Allez-vous changer quoi que ce soit dans votre approche, dans votre stratégie?
Nous avons, je l'ai dit maintes fois, nous sommes un gouvernement minoritaire, mais nous avons un mandat. Donc, nous sommes très transparents avec les mesures que nous entendons prendre. Nous en parlons depuis très longtemps et vous voyez une succession de mesures ici au Parlement qui reflètent ce qu'on a présenté en campagne électorale, ce dont on parle depuis la campagne électorale, ce dont on a parlé dans le discours du trône et maintenant dans le budget. Donc c'est une suite logique et nous espérons pouvoir rallier une majorité au Parlement.
Il y a besoin de changer.
Merci.
Concerned about the government passing the rest of its agenda, seeing how close the budget bill was last night?
No, I think there was we got the budget through yesterday. I expect the same today, and I'm looking forward to getting going with building affordable housing and infrastructure across Canada. That's my priority, and we need the budget to do that. Thank you.
Sorry, which drama are you referring to?
Well, your legislation, your bail reform hasn't been able to get to committee yet. So are you going to repeal C5 and C75 as the Conservatives are calling for?
Well, look, we've accommodated some of the changes that we've heard around the principle of restraint. But if you were to repeal Bill C75, you would be undoing some things that I actually know from private conversations that Conservative members support, like making it harder for people who are charged with offences touching on intimate partner violence to be released on bail. It would be a terrible mistake to undo some of those important measures. But in the bill that's actually being debated in the House, we have measures that address squarely the principle of restraint, fundamentally shifting how that's going to play out in courts. So if they choose to make noise for political reasons to try to attract controversy, I have no real appetite. If they've got real suggestions that would improve the quality of the bill, that are aimed around public safety, not partisan politics, then we would, of course, entertain those conversations in good faith.
Your government just narrowly passed the budget yesterday in that confidence vote. How concerned are you that you'll have trouble fulfilling the rest of your agenda based on what happened last night?
Well, look, what I take from last night is that a majority of members of the House of Commons cast their vote in favour of the government making good on its campaign commitments. I can't imagine if people are having any conversations like the ones I'm having in my community when they all travel back from Ottawa to their constituencies, that they are hearing from the electorate that people are demanding another election right now. Quite the opposite. People voted for a set of commitments that we are now implementing, not just with the budget, budget, but with the legislative agenda more broadly. They expect us to make good on those commitments, and if other parties are listening to their communities and paying attention to what happened in the last election, they'll work with us to allow us to implement the agenda that we just campaigned on.
Okay, and when can we expect your child exploitation as child safety legislation?
Certainly. So we have another bill that I intend to table before the House rises for Christmas. The exact date's unknown. There's only a few weeks left, obviously, on that timeline. But we do expect over the next few weeks you should see a bill that addresses a number of different themes, including intimate partner violence, including protecting kids online, as you've alluded to, including new sexual offences, and potentially including other areas such as delays in the justice system and the role of victims through the criminal justice process. There are other reforms that we're looking at as a government that will fall outside of those criminal justice reforms, but the lead on those files will likely involve a combination of Minister Solomon and Guilbeault, and I defer to them on the specifics when it comes to things like platform regulation, the use of AI, etc.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Crown Prince. Going to DC today. What trade and investment opportunities does Saudi offer Canada, and what are you doing to attract them?
Well, if you look at what's happening, we hosted a Saudi investment minister recently. He came down with a delegation. They're looking at our capacity in terms of ports, infrastructure investments. AI is big, healthcare is big, agri-food is huge, and so they came down to look at some of those opportunities. But this is what Canada's doing. We're putting in place, look at the major projects office, what we're doing, the changes in our budget to make sure Canada's competitive in terms of investment attraction, some of our tax incentives, and this is what other countries are taking notice of, and so you're going to see more delegations like that coming through. Thank you.
Okay, and is he coming to Canada soon?
Oh, he was just here 10 days ago. Yep.
And how are you handling the human rights concerns with all this?
Look, Canada will always stand strong on our principles. It's important to note that at the same time that we stand strong on our principles, we're attracting investments as well. Infrastructure, there's a lot of things that we're building in this country. $500 billion of investments is what we require to build these big things. And that's exactly what we promised Canadians in our election. That's what we put in our budget to make sure we're incentivizing those investments. And so you're going to see more, you see the Swedish delegation here now, and you're going to see more of this happening. There's a lot of activity, a lot of inbound calls that I'm receiving. A lot of people are interested in investing in Canada. Thank you.